You are in the business of making good stuff, even if you start with something that's pre-made. The goal is to end up with something that is much better than what you start with and to exceed your customers' expectations. Hey everybody, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. That's right, today we have more spilling of the beans, more behind the curtain small business talk about ways to make money with a laser engraver in a small workshop. Today we're going to be talking about wooden utensils and some certain products that I've come up with to offer customized laser engraved utensils and how I take these to really bring them to the next level and beat the pants off my local competitors. This video goes hand in hand with my prior one where I talked about, I guess, my feelings of being a little bit of a sellout or cop-out using pre-made items to kickstart myself towards the making and offerings of an end product. As such, we're going to be talking about this. Wooden utensils. Things you can get everywhere on the internet from many suppliers and retail stores. How do you take something such as this and really add value to it to make it worthwhile for someone to choose to purchase one from you? To illustrate and really bring you guys step by step through this whole process, we're going to actually make some customer orders today. I have some orders for some of these utensils. They have requested to have laser engraved some monograms and names on them. So let's go ahead and go through the entire process, start to finish, of how I take some off-the-shelf products, make something from them, put my own touches, improve them, and then prepare and ship these out to my customers. We're going to start right here. This is where I keep my utensil inventory. Those are some cheap plastic Harbor Freight tubs. They stack on each other and so they work well to allow me to see how many I have of what, stay organized, and honestly pull them off, make the stuff, get it out the door in as fast as fashion as possible. Not because I don't want to spend time on things so much as this being the holiday season. The name of the game is quick customer and order fulfillment because everyone's ordering stuff for holiday gifts and they want their stuff yesterday. Alright, I have my utensils. This is a spoon and a turner. Let's go over to the workbench and start preparing these to be engraved. Alright, here in front of you I've got a couple things to illustrate how I take these utensils from store shelf quality, which is okay, and bring them up to what I consider to be my standard. First and foremost, I resand these things. They do not come anywhere near usable, in my opinion, from the store. So I'm going to resand these completely. I've got a random orbital sander with 320 grit sandpaper and then a detailed sander with 320 grit. The reason I use two is I found that this detailed sander really fits and conforms to the dips and dishes of these utensils. I'm able to definitely get in the spoons a whole lot easier, get more uniform sanding, and it really makes the process a lot simpler. This sander was really cheap. I got it from Walmart, but these detailed sanders themselves are also cheap. You don't need anything fancy, you don't need anything really expensive. The name of the game here is quickly finishing, smoothing, and prepping these for being engraved on the laser. What I'm feeling for is that the dishes or recessed carves of these utensils are as smooth as I want them. They're notoriously rough when you get them from a store. So I'm just making sure that these are as good as I like and I don't have any other touch-ups here. Alright, they feel good. The dishes are done. We're also done with this detail sander. Now we're going to switch over to the random orbit sander. I'm going to clamp this up into my workbench vise, and instead of moving the sander around these objects, I'm going to clamp it like this and move the objects all around the sander. That's a lot easier way to do these. While I load up my random orbit sander here with some paper, I want to take a second and talk to you guys about the sander and the paper. Now, I am all about getting good tools when you need them and when necessary, when it's required. I mean, there's one behind me, and then there's one over there flashing lights in a box as well. However, that doesn't mean Sam is all about new tools, shiny tools, and expensive tools. This is a 12-year-old rigid random orbit sander that was reconditioned when I got it. Got it from one of those surplus outlet stores. It's worked great, no complaints. The sandpaper, this is not a red brand Diablo sandpaper. It is not 3M sandpaper. This is some stuff off of Amazon that comes in a large pack. That is a good price, gives you a lot of assortments through grits, and honestly, works really well. I've not noticed a difference in lifespan between this and the name brand stuff. Name brand per se. This is a good brand. It's got a name, but you know what I'm talking about. So in this sense, Sam says, save your money. Get some good budget sandpaper, get a sander that works, and just rock and roll and go. Don't waste your money on something like this for this style creation or products. And that's going to be very subjective. For this project, the sander does well. There might be cases where the sander doesn't do good, but we're not talking about that today. It's another instance where I am stopping to feel my sanding progression, see what needs to be done again, or if I'm happy with the results. I've done enough of these at this point that it's pretty easy to get it done in one pass, but I always do check it over thoroughly before I go to something else, because these are different and you never know. So, looks good. Now we move on to this one. So my wife and I were at a craft show last weekend, and we just kind of went through the area looking to see what was available. So while we were looking through the booths and everything, in the realm of woodworking, there were, of course, a lot of cutting boards, a lot of signs, a lot of turned bowls, and stuff along those lines. But what really caught my eye was there was one person who had laser engraved utensils, very similar to the ones that I'm making and showing you guys the process of with this video. So what's noteworthy about this person selling the utensils was that they had a lot to choose from, but I noticed that their prices were honestly dirt cheap, like crazy cheap, as in, man, you're undercutting the whole artist realm here cheap. However, when I picked up one of the utensils and took a closer look, I decided that that was an appropriate price given the quality that they were selling. So it appeared, and this is total assumption on my part, so take it for what it's worth, but it appeared like they just grabbed the utensils off a shelf or from their supplier or wherever. They came in the door to their building or workshop, they engraved the things, and then threw them in a box to be sold. It didn't seem like there was any sanding time spent. It did not seem like there was any cleanup after the engraving was done. And there absolutely was no oil, no wax finish, no kind of protectant at all on these wooden utensils that are designed to be cooked with. So using that person as an example, we can construct the 3 pillars of Samcraft's rule to upselling utensils. 1. Make sure you sand your utensils 100% everywhere. It's got to be smoother than your baby's bottom, that kind of smooth. 2, after you engrave it, clean up the soot marks, clean up the burns, retouch it up. After you've marked it up, make sure it's just as smooth with a little bit of design as your baby's bottom. And then 3, make sure you put a finish on these things. If these are even to be considered just wall art, you need to make sure you finish them. Please don't sell your customers bare, raw, unfinished wood. Because if it's a utensil or shaped like a utensil, they're going to take it home, they're going to cook with it, and they're going to be disappointed. In the least, disappointed. You may sour them as a customer, or you may completely turn them off to the world of wood wares for cooking or baking or cutting boards. So take the time and finish your utensils. Alright, looks like the tour is almost done. We'll go ahead and load these up, run through the engravings, and then, I promise, I will talk more about the finish, because a lot of you are probably assuming that I'm just going to slap mineral on these. I'm not. I use something that is better, something that is more expensive, but gives a superior product for my customers. The tablet I'm using to run my laser engravers is a Fusion 5 tablet. It is a cheap, affordable Windows 10 tablet, runs Windows 10 as the operating system, and it is the tablet I've been using for over a year to run both my CNC and my laser engravers. There's a link to it down below if you're interested. I will say, in my experiences, it has been perfect, and I have never ever regretted buying it. I will also say, this is not a tablet to be used for designing. It doesn't have the power to run your design software. It can load your files and run your machines. You'll notice here inside my tour I have a 1/4-inch sheet of MDF down and a lot of engravings and markings on it. I consider this both my template and my waste board for using this. I have the circle outlines for the coasters that I engrave, and then this I have for my utensils, a line of dots engraved. That basically gives me the center point. I then use the fire function on my laser to pinpoint and position it where I want the start of the engraving to take place and go from there. This is a very simple way to put them in. I do not do more than one utensil at a time. I have not found a faster method that is 100% foolproof or Sam proof, that he will not mess this up by loading more than one utensil in the laser at a time. So in my instance, these utensils are done one at a time, but overall is not very difficult at all as far as man hours, machine hours, and labor to do such things with. Here's an example where Sam probably should not be doing videos as he's making customer orders. The spoon looks great. Turned out wonderful. The turner, that sucker's off center. So, we have a throwaway. Fancy firewood. Much better. This is the set going to the customer. This other one goes into Sam's pile of shame. Now is the time to talk about the finish for these wood utensils. And for that, let's get my bucket, which is out of the shot, a bottle of this special Fancy Pants oil, and let's talk about that. So here we have the oil bath. And it's actually a tote sitting on top of a bucket so that my face and this lid can be in the same shot together. So that's why it might seem a little precarious. This is a storage tote that I got from the local hardware store, and its only purpose in life is to hold this giant amount of liquid that these utensils get plopped into and sit overnight. Alright, so Sam's method is very precise, very careful. I scoop some oil and then I plop it. That's it. It's not that precise. The main thing that I want to do is try and get a good amount of oil in the dish of these utensils, and then I sit and allow the liquid just to sit in the utensils there. So we'll do these. And there we go. After I let it sit for a little bit, I go ahead and slosh left and right to submerge the ends of the utensils completely in the oil. We all know that that end grain is going to soak up these finishes much more than the face grains. Otherwise, it's kind of a, you know, sloshing around like some utensils in a bathtub. That's really what it is. I can hear you now. You're asking, what finish are you using? Why are you not using mineral oil? Please tell us your secrets. Tell us your ways, oh Sam of Samcraft. Well, here's a look at the oil that I'm using. This is a Caron and Doucet, I'm probably butchering that, cutting board oil. This I buy off of Amazon. It is made in Canada, and this is a 100% natural, plant-based, food-safe oil finish for cutting boards, wooden utensils, bowls, plates, elaborate chalices, whatever you want to make safe, preserve, and is made of wood and is for food contact. I will go ahead and warn you, this is not cheap. This little bottle I'm holding is about $13 when compared to mineral oil, which is what probably 90% of woodworkers are finishing their stuff with. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. However, I prefer and choose to spend the money on this because I really feel it is a superior finish. It is not mineral oil based or petroleum based. It is completely plant based. It is even vegan approved, so you can market that to your customers as well. And honestly, it's just, I like it better. So it's one of those things that I am fine investing more in. Yes, a little bit of that money does go on to the customer, but they are getting a much better product in the end. Alright, it is the next day. These utensils have been in here just about 14 hours at this point. So now we'll go ahead and get them out of here. So we'll go ahead and dry these off, let off the excess oil, get off of these utensils, and then I will apply the wax finish, and that will be it for these to go out the door to their customer, or their owner. Not their customer, their owner. Alright, we are ready to go ahead and apply the cutting board wax. Again, this is made by that same company that I get the cutting board oil from. There'll be a link to this down below if you're interested. This is also 100% natural, plant-based, no mineral oil, so very good stuff. I have an applicator, foam applicator, and I just kind of twist it in the wax a little bit. And I got my utensil, and I just rub it in thoroughly all over. Now, do not get cheap with the cutting board wax. This is your last layer of protection before your utensil gets to your customer. And this is your shell coat, your exterior protection of your utensils. Proper application of this in a nice, liberal fashion, meaning don't get cheap, don't get skimpy, will make your utensils feel so much nicer and last so much longer, which is exactly what you want when it arrives to its destination. You are in the business of making good stuff, even if you start with something that's pre-made. The goal is to end up with something that is much better than what you start with and to exceed your customer's expectations. Little things such as applying the wax will go that extra mile and is something that, as of yet, I've not seen a lot of other people in this realm do. So, until they all see this video, you'll be ahead of the game where you are. Alright, there's all my utensils done. So I'll go ahead and put the lid back on this thing. And this applicator goes back in its original packaging. Keeps it nice and clean, pretty well dust free, and ready for use on my next set of utensils. Now I can start with the first one. Take a cloth and buff that wax into the wood, shining it up, making it smooth and getting off any excess. At this point, it's a lot more elbow grease, more handwork, but this is really where it's going to make your utensil, well, maybe literally shine. There we have it. I have 2 more utensil sets ready to go out the door to my customers. Who knows? Maybe my customers are watching and they will realize now, wow, my utensils are kind of famous. This is where it all took off or went down for Sam at Samcraft. Who knows? I'm here to educate and entertain. I'm not here to hoard secrets, create elaborate things in my workshop, and just sit on them like the golden egg off of Jack and the Beanstalk. My purpose and goal with this channel is to inform, educate, and entertain. Usually just entertain rather than the other two. But otherwise, share with you guys tips, tricks, ideas, and get you motivated and encouraged to get out in your shop or in your makerspace, whatever, wherever you may have, and do something. I'm a firm believer that we all feel better in life when we actually do something tangible. So if I'm helping to facilitate that for you, that is worth it in the end for me. If you guys got any questions or comments about anything you saw in this video or anything otherwise in the realm of Samcraft, be sure to leave them down below. I love to read them and I try to reply to as many as possible. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you guys next time